This morning's Farm Report is sponsored by LS Tractor. Start blue, stay blue.
This year, make LS Tractor your all-season workhorse. From spring applications using LS tillers, box blades, rotary cutters, and grapples, to winter applications utilizing LS snow blowers, blades, and brooms. With this lineup, there's no job you can't do with LS tractors and implements. Learn more at lstractorusa.com or check out your local LS dealer.
Well, great big howdy, folks. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me into your homes. Harvest is in full swing now all throughout our community. Cotton is being picked, peanuts are being harvested, the tobacco is out of the field now, and sweet potatoes are being harvested in a significant way. And just a reminder, I have mentioned this before, since 1971, North Carolina has been the #1 sweet potato grower in the country. North Carolina grows nearly 60% of all America's sweet potatoes. That is somewhat. And really it's no surprise that the sweet potato is the state vegetable. So we appreciate the sweet potato, and it has provided a lot of work and a lot of economy and enterprise for many of our local farmers. I continue to make reference in recent weeks to the state fair, and I have another report this morning about, I'll call it the iconic tobacco barn at the state fair. There's a lot of history there, and I'd like to share that at this time. The tobacco barn at the North Carolina State Fair educates visitors on the history and heritage of a crop that built North Carolina. North Carolina's agricultural history is rich, with new farming technology and many new people in the state from other areas. There are opportunities to share that history. The tobacco barn at the North Carolina State Fair aims to educate people on the history of the tobacco through examples, tobacco stringing and the curing process. We use the same recipe that all farmers used 150 years ago, so we start out slow at the same temperature as it is outside and ease up about 5 degrees every day, and we don't go over 100 until we get all of the green color out, said Pat Short, exhibit coordinator with the tobacco barn. Every year, a tobacco stringing competition is held on the first Friday of the North Carolina State Fair. Anyone can enter this competition and show off their stringing capabilities. After the competition, the tobacco strung during the event gets loaded into the barn to begin the flue curing process. We start a very small fire, and that warms the barn just a little and makes it a little bit warmer than the outside. Each day the barn gets a little warmer on its own, so the temperature slowly rises every day, and we keep the fire going for the first 3 days. We don't give it any outside air on those days, Short said. The wood burn fire stays lit for around a week until the leaves are completely dry. This means that people need to stay overnight at the tobacco barn to ensure that the fire continues to burn. While this may sound like a daunting task, volunteers make the most of it. It's fun to stay overnight. There's cooking and storytelling. Volunteers stay to monitor the barn and make sure that the fire keeps going, because you don't want the fire to go completely out. Once you start the process of slowly warming the tobacco, you want to hold the temperature, Pat Short said. Graham Boyd, Executive Vice President of the North Carolina Tobacco Growers Association, is among the volunteers who take night shifts at the tobacco barn. He has been a part of the curing crew for more than 18 years. We started off providing refreshments for the volunteers, and I have been part of the curing crew since the very first year. Even with the lack of sleep, Boyd still appreciates his time at the barn. There's not a lot of sleeping because the state fair is just as busy and loud at night as it is during the day. It just changes the complexion. The fairgrounds never sleep. Instead of screams from rides, you hear the scream of a leaf blower, Boyd said. Boyd spends a lot of time over the next 11 days of the fair at the fairgrounds. On top of working with the Tobacco Growers Association as the sponsoring resident of the Bowles House, he also works at the Tobacco Barn. The Bowles House is a vintage home that was brought in from the Piedmont up in Alamance County, I think, and it's been remodeled and restored, and it's typical of the home that was used in agriculture in rural areas across North Carolina in the 1800s. The Bowles House, located right beside the Tobacco Barn in Heritage Circle, showcases antique tobacco farming machinery and hosts the annual tobacco hand-tie competition. We use that facility to promote the economic impact of the tobacco crop and display facts and information about our history and our future, Boyd said. Displaying the history of tobacco farming is at the heart of the Tobacco Barn's mission. Seeing the curing process from the outside of the barn gives insight into how things used to be done. Since less people are farming tobacco these days, educating the public on the heritage of the crop is important. The greatest attribute of the barn is how much it puts the tobacco history on display for the tens of thousands of visitors that pass it. It creates an opportunity for people to interact with the audience about the heritage and importance of tobacco farming, Graham Boyd said. The visitors aren't the only ones who are impacted by the work of the Tobacco Barn. Boyd believes that farmers themselves appreciate what's done at the fair. Our tobacco farmers are extremely grateful for Commissioner Troxler and the State Fair for their commitment to the heritage of the crop. We love the amount of improvements that have been made to the Heritage Circle and being able to preserve the historical context, Boyd said. No matter your age, seeing this history is beneficial. Short added, it lights up the older people that grew up in a tobacco family because they haven't seen it since they were a kid. Then you've got other people like kids and transplants. They don't understand it, so it's an educational tool in those instances. Everyone gets something, whether it be remembering their childhood or the ability to understand what it was like. Boyd has a unique perspective on the barn, seeing the historical way of tobacco farming as a kid, but growing up to see the technological advances lets him appreciate the hard work that older generations put into farming. To get a crop, farmers had to commit to months of day and night work. In the 1980s, when I was a teenager, we saw stick barns transition to bulk barns. My generation is the last to remember small farms where all the labor was comprised of young people that would rotate from farm to farm. I can remember the entire process. None of that exists today. To see what I remember, you have to come to the Tobacco Barn at the State Fair, Boyd said. After the tobacco is strung and cured, visitors are allowed to go inside the barn to see the result of the process. Then a mock tobacco auction is held on the last Friday of the fair at the Tobacco Pavilion. Once the fair ends, the tobacco is used year-round by the Tobacco Growers Association for displays, decorations, and even gifts. And so to see this entire process of historical tobacco curing from stringing to burning, you need to come down to Heritage Circle to the Tobacco Barn. And this will happen, it happened the other week at the fair, and it will be continued again next year. So in addition, you can stop by the Bowles House, which is next to the barn, and enjoy. It's like a museum. You see a lot of interesting things that have to do with tobacco and tobacco artifacts. And I volunteer as well, and I've probably been going up there 15 years myself. And people come by, and it's like a down-home family reunion, really. Many people are taking vacation now and going to the mountains and elsewhere to see the foliage and such as that. And some people enjoy camping out, but in so doing, they must be careful about fires, campfires, and etc. From the North Carolina Forest Service, the NC Forest Service is urging the public to think ahead and be cautious with outdoor fire. North Carolina transition to the fall, the North Carolina Forest Service is reminding the public to be careful, ready, and responsible with burning outdoors. Typically, wildfires occur more frequently from October through early December. October fires left unattended, outdoor fires, that is, left unattended, can get out of hand quickly, becoming wildfires that threaten lives and property. In 2022, there were nearly 6,400 wildfires that burned more than 24,000 acres in North Carolina, 99% of which were human-caused. As more of our state's acreage is developed and our population continues to grow, we'll have more people actively living and recreating or recreating, that is, in areas where homes and forests and woodlands meet, said Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler. Increased human activity traditionally leads to more wildfires. North Carolina is in the top 5% nationally for the number of acreage and housing units in wildland-urban interface. That is a buzzword, wildland-urban interface, WUI, recently identified in the North Carolina Forest Action Plan as a notable threat for increased wildfire impacts. WUI is the area where structures and other human development blend with undeveloped wildland, forest, or vegetation. WUI, again, that is wildlife-urban interface. This WUI acreage is increasing with more people moving to the state and into formerly rural areas. As of 2020, roughly 2.25% million homes and more than half of the North Carolina citizens live in WUI areas. Backyard debris burning, escape campfires, and machine and vehicle use are common forms of human-caused wildfires, Troxler said. Steps to reduce wildfire risk begin at home by creating a defensible space and making fire-resistant landscape choices. Remember, you are our best defense against wildfires, so the commissioner said. For those who choose to burn, the North Carolina Forest Service offers the following tips. Make sure you have a valid permit. You can obtain a burn permit at any North Carolina Forest Service office or authorized permitting agent, or you can even go online. Check the weather. Never burn on dry, windy days. Keep your fire small, not tall. Be sure you are fully prepared before burning. To control the fire, you will need a water hose, a bucket, steel rake, and a shovel for tossing dirt on the fire. Keep a phone nearby also. Never use kerosene, gasoline, diesel fuel, or other flammable liquids to speed up burning. Douse burning charcoal briquettes or campfires thoroughly with water. Drown all embers, not just the red ones. When soaked, stir the coals and soak them again. Make sure everything is wet and that embers are cold to the touch. If you do not have water, mix enough dirt or sand with the embers to extinguish the fire, being careful not to bury the fire. Never dump hot ashes or coals into a wooded area. Never leave your fire. Stay with it until it is completely out. Studies have shown that taking these and other measures can reduce the possibility of wildfires. For helpful information and tips to safely burn outdoors, we can visit our Fire Safety Outdoors webpage. That's from the North Carolina Forest Service. And you can learn more from it about creating a defensible space around your home to protect your property from wildfire. So that is something we need to be mindful of. We must not take it for granted, and I trust that you will not. My time has run out once more. It certainly does go by quickly. I appreciate being able to come in with you and visit with you every week. and thank you for indulging me in this labor of love. Have a good week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.